Hello, friends. Here are at least 5 reasons why the greatest leader to have touched planet Earth gained so much recognition. The first is that he lived a life of purpose. He was a man who understood his purpose from start to finish. From the day he was born up till the day that he left planet Earth, he lived according to his purpose. Knowing that he had come to planet Earth to die for all of humanity, to set them free from the bondage of sin, he focused on achieving that aim, in spite of the fact that some of his friends tried to discourage him, tried to dissuade him from doing that. In fact, the day that he was taken captive, tried and nailed on the cross, all of his friends deserted him. And in spite of that, he did not renege. He laid down his life, even for their sakes. And of course, he was killed and resurrected and fulfilled his life purpose. The second reason is that in addition to his purpose, or drawing from his purpose, he lived a life of vision. On this particular day, he followed a friend called Peter to his house, and there he met his mother-in-law sick. He simply prayed over her and made her well. And because of that, a lot of people across town heard and rushed by to him for him to make them well. And of course he did. So he spent the night healing people. And early the next morning, even before the break of dawn, he rose up and went to the mountainside to pray like he would usually do. And a lot of people came by wanting to make him pray over them so they would be well. But he wasn't to be found at home. His friends who knew him so well went to a place they thought they would meet him, met him there, and let him know that a number of people had come that morning and were seeking for him to make them well. Now, that would have been a good opportunity for him to increase his fame. In our time and age, it would have also been a great privilege to set up a healing company and to make so much money from people. But that wasn't to be the case, because he understood the vision that he had set for himself and was willing to do everything and at all cost to achieve this vision. So he told his friends, well, I need to go preach to other villages and towns, and the time has come for me to do so. Therefore, let's move to those villages and towns. And of course he did so, not minding the fact that an opportunity for fame and money had presented itself to him. So he was a man of vision. The third is that he was a man of great compassion. On one occasion, going about fulfilling his vision, he had to pass through a town and to go out of town to go and preach. And while there, thousands of people came to him. And when he looked at them, he had compassion over them because they looked like sheep without a shepherd. And you know what that means? For sheep to be running all around without a shepherd, it just means they are heading for disaster. Well, because of the compassion he had over them, he took time to teach them instructive lessons, lessons that will give them life, lessons that will help them grow in life. And having spent hours to teach, it was time for them to go back home. And he realized that they would have been hungry because they had not eaten. So he told his friends to make food available. And in fact, his friends mocked him that it would take a man's 1 year salary to feed all of this crowd, and they couldn't provide food. So he said, bring whatever you have. And incidentally, they had 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And he just simply blessed it, broke it, and asked the disciples to go around and share it. And of course, in doing that, the food increased and multiplied until he fed everybody there, and 12 baskets were left. Again, that's a quality of a good leader, the ability to multiply whatever comes to your hand. Well, having done that and having had compassion over them, he fed them that night. They were so satisfied that the next morning, thousands of people got up in search of him so they would be fed again. And by the way, that night it was recorded that he fed 5,000 men. Women and children were not even added to that number. And if we just use our sense of knowing how much women and children attend to programs, then you can say that there were at least 20,000 people that night that he fed. All this he did because he had compassion over them. Now, the fourth factor is that he was a man of service. Even though he was the leader amongst the pack, he served the people that he called to be friends with him. On this dinner night, after the meal, he got up, removed or took off his outer coat, tied a towel around his waist, and went round washing the feet of 12 men that he had called to be with him. Now, in the tradition then, in then Israel, it was customary for servants to be the one to wash the feet of the masters and to wash the feet of visitors who came to the house. But on that night, he proved that it didn't matter to him as long as he was serving the people that were around him. In fact, they were very amazed that one turned down the opportunity. Well, after some conversation, he convinced him and got him to allow him wash his feet, which he did. He was a man of service. He taught these people to learn to serve, because you see, on one night or on one day, 2 of those friends lobbied him, wanting to be ministers in his cabinet, and they asked that one should sit on his left, the other on his right, and 10 out of 12 got angry because they thought these men should not have done so. But he seized opportunity. Again, a good quality of leaders. Leaders always seize opportunities to teach lessons. And he seized opportunity that night to teach these men that even though in other climes and culture, leadership is about oppressing people, but for him, leadership was about serving. So he told them, if you want to be great, serve people. If you want to be the master, be the servant first by serving people. And that way, people will rally around you. That way, your influence over people will greatly increase. He was a man of service. The fifth is that he was a man of integrity. Every word that he spoke, he meant. Everything that he promised to do, he did. He never said things that he didn't mean. And he never crossed anything that he had instructed others to do. His life and his words came always in close contact, always in contact. They agreed at every situation. As a man of integrity, he was tried, he was tested, he was tempted like every other man that had been tempted, and perhaps even much more. And yet, he was found without fault. What a great leader. Even though I promised to say 5 things, but let me just add a sixth factor as a bonus for you haven't taken time to listen to me. Now, he has left planet Earth for over 2,000 years. And in the last 2,021 years, there is not a single second, including this, that this man had not been talked about. And I mean single second in the last 2021 years that this man has not been talked about. You may be wondering who this man is. Well, I'm talking about the man called Jesus. He had lived a perfect life as a perfect leader, living a perfect example. And these examples, I would encourage you to adopt. Because if you adopt these examples, then you will be a great leader. Because this is wisdom.